Imagine you're an engineer who just left a major tech firm to join a competitor across town. You haven't stolen a single file, you haven't emailed yourself any confidential code, and you've left your old company behind, at least on paper. I've seen it all. For nearly 25 years, I worked at the DOJ, where I investigated some of the largest antitrust cases in the country. Now in retirement, I'm working for you. Welcome to the Antitrust Insider. So you left your old firm and you have years of inside knowledge, timelines, strategic plans, and weaknesses in proprietary systems. Your new employer didn't just hire you for your talent, they hired you for what you know. Welcome to the shadowy world of legal corporate espionage, where billion-dollar secrets are stolen in plain sight and the law is just a speed bump on the road to market domination. This isn't just a few bad actors, it's a system, a strategy, and in many industries, it's how the game is played. Today we're exposing how companies legally steal trade secrets from their rivals and how regulators are struggling to keep up. Segment 1. What is legal corporate espionage? Trade secrets can be as simple as a client list or as complex as the source code for an autonomous vehicle. But unlike patents or copyrights, trade secrets aren't registered. They exist in the shadows, protected only by internal policies, contracts, and law enforcement that's often too slow to react. So what makes trade secrets different from patents and copyrights? Patents are public. You trade secrecy for protection and monopoly. Copyrights are automatic. You write it, you own it, but they only cover the expression, not the idea. Trade secrets, by contrast, rely on secrecy itself. Once the secret is out, it's gone. That's where the gray zone begins, because you don't have to actually steal a trade secret to benefit from it. The sanitized term that companies love to use is competitive intelligence. It sounds nice and professional, but when you dig deeper, it's usually a polite way of saying we're watching everything our rivals are doing, and sometimes we hire their people to tell us more. Hiring competitors' former employees is one of the oldest and most common tactics. It's perfectly legal in most jurisdictions, especially if you don't ask them to bring documents or breach their NDAs. But the knowledge in their head, that's fair game, and companies know it. Reverse engineering is another classic tactic. If you buy a rival's product and dissect it piece by piece, so long as you didn't sign a license agreement saying you wouldn't, it's often allowed under US law. This is how companies like Samsung analyzed Apple's hardware designs for years. They walked a fine legal line by making tweaks just distinct enough to avoid outright copying. For a while, the strategy worked, keeping Samsung just outside the crosshairs of a major lawsuit. But eventually, Apple drew a line in the sand, leading to a billion-dollar patent war that exposed just how far corporate espionage and inspiration can go before it crosses into something else. A well-known case of legal gray zone espionage was Waymo versus Uber. In 2016, Anthony Lewandowski, a star engineer at Waymo, which is Google's self-driving car unit, left Waymo and founded a startup that Uber acquired. Lewandowski downloaded over 14,000 confidential files before leaving to join Uber, who insisted they had no idea about any stolen secret files. Despite a massive civil settlement and Lewandowski's eventual criminal conviction, Uber itself faced no criminal charges. Their defense was, well, they didn't know. They hired the man, not the files. Legally, that distinction still holds up in much of corporate America, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. Segment 2. The rise of ethical spying. As the legal lines became clearer, companies got better at walking right up to them, sometimes leaning over without technically crossing. One of the most common legal but shady tactics is poaching talent not for their skills, but for their secrets. Recruiters aren't shy about targeting specific teams. When Tesla was working on its battery tech, Chinese EV giant XPeng was accused of recruiting Tesla engineers and allegedly encouraging them to upload sensitive files to iCloud before switching jobs. Lawsuits were filed, NDAs waived, but most of the strategic damage was already done. Enter the clean room defense, used by companies like Microsoft, Google, and others. Here's how it works. Say you want to clone a competitor's software legally. You hire one team and describe how the rival product works in exhaustive detail. Then, you hire a second team with no exposure to the original code. The second team builds a duplicate based solely on the first team's notes. That's exactly how Phoenix Technologies legally cloned IBM's BIOS in the 1980s, opening the door for the PC clone market. Today, the method is still used, especially in chip design, operating systems, and even AI algorithms. It's slow, it's expensive, but in court, it can work just fine.
How is that not stealing?
Patent trolling and open source scraping are other angles, and not by random shell companies either. I'm talking about the tech giants themselves. Companies will stockpile low-quality patents just to create bargaining chips or to sue startups into licensing negotiations. Meanwhile, open source intelligence is exploding. Some firms scrape job postings or even LinkedIn updates to piece together competitive strategy. You'd be shocked at how many engineers casually list proprietary tools and frameworks in their resumes, clues that are like gold to competitive analysts. And then there are the private intelligence firms. Agencies like Kroll, Control Risks, and others are routinely hired to conduct deep investigations, monitor supply chains, track whistleblowers, or dig into rivals' overseas operations, all while staying within the bounds of local law. They won't break into a server, but they might find a disgruntled vendor who's willing to talk or a lawsuit that forces discovery. It's essentially corporate cloak and dagger with a legal briefing. Segment 3, the fall of trade secret protection. For all the noise around protecting innovation, trade secret laws are mostly reactive. The most notable federal law in the US, the Defend Trade Secrets Act of 2016, was supposed to change that. It gave companies a federal civil remedy to sue in trade secret cases and even authorize seizures of stolen information. But here's the problem. By the time the company realizes its trade secrets have been leaked, the damage is already done. The competitor is faster to market, cheaper to scale, or simply inspired by something that was never meant to be shared. NDAs can be easy to sidestep. If you don't explicitly ask a new hire for old files, they can usually get away with bringing their knowledge with them. Meanwhile, non-compete agreements are under attack. In 2023, the Federal Trade Commission proposed a sweeping ban on non-competes across most industries. California has already banned them for years. Tech talent moves freely, and with it, so does the mental map of entire business strategies. And today, AI is raising the stakes. Machine learning systems can ingest public documents, product manuals, marketing materials, and then spit out competitive insights, performance specs, and even synthetic data for training rival products. In the hands of a smart operator, scraping public data can be extremely valuable. Scraping lawsuits, like LinkedIn's failed attempt to stop HiQ Labs in 2019, failed to establish any hard limits. So as long as the data is publicly accessible, scraping it may not be a crime. Segment 4, what the future holds. So how do we stop this? Or should we? Some argue that this is the new norm, an innovation arms race where information flows more freely and companies just need to build faster while accepting that secrets won't stay secret for long. But regulators are trying. The FTC's non-compete ban, if finalized, could spark new legal battles over how to protect internal knowledge without locking down workers. Trade secret laws are slowly expanding, and whistleblower protections could help expose bad faith actors on both sides of the hiring table. We may also see new regulation around AI-based reconstruction of trade secrets. The bigger question becomes, is there such a thing as ethical espionage? If a company hires smart people, reverse engineers legally, and studies its competitors' public behavior, is that just good business, or is it legalized theft? For now, the answer isn't coming from Congress or the courts or even the companies themselves, it's coming from the market. Because if a company gains the upper hand, even legally, by exploiting gray areas, you can bet its rivals will follow. And once everyone plays dirty, the rules don't matter anymore. Corporate espionage isn't just happening in the shadows, it's happening in plain sight with the full blessing of outdated laws and legal gray zones. And unless regulators evolve, the future of innovation may belong to whoever learns to spy the smartest and not invent the fastest. So tell me what you think about corporate espionage in the comments below. If you found this video helpful and informative, please hit that subscribe button, like, and comment. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay honest, and come back for more Antitrust Insider.